everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Next we're looking at what was actually the first Tiger and Bunny movie, The Beginning, very aptly named.
And it recaps the first 2 episodes of the series while adding an additional story of the new duo trying to capture a villain who can switch places with anyone he sees. And we must say that this is actually a very interesting story, even though the film is mostly a recap.
Right. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates on future podcasts and more to pause videos.
Yes.
So yes, the movie is supposed to be like a compilation or a recap, because at the time The Rising wasn't out because the show didn't go off yet. So they kind of just took the first 2 episodes and put them together and took out some extra things. They just, anything that wasn't related to them teaming up, they would just cut out and had new scenes added to segue. And then they added in this whole new story in after maybe 30 minutes. So I think this was definitely worth your money if you were either going to theaters or you were buying it, because despite it being supposedly a recap, you were still getting a whole new story with it. You weren't just getting a whole series recap and the whole movie, like condensing 26 episodes into one movie.
Right. And as we saw, there was some real interesting additional scenes that told you more about their new relationship, more about how the other members of the team were getting to know both Bunny and Tiger. You saw more about Tiger's family. You got to see more pictures that let you know his background. You got to see all his beer bottles and beer cans and sake bottles. Then you know that he does not clean up his home. So it was fun, and as you said on several occasions, it didn't even seem like it wasn't boring, because they added so much additional information in, and it flowed smoothly and seamlessly, where it really seemed like this had actually been made specifically for this purpose.
And with this new story added to it, it doesn't, impact the rest of the series. They made sure it was something that impacted the character development, but not something like, why wasn't this brought up in the show itself? They made sure it was a one and done thing, but still you knew what would lead into the rest of the events follows for the series. For this new enemy they had, like I said, he could switch places with anybody just by looking at them. So they were standing over somewhere else, way over somewhere else. If it was in his point of view, he could switch with them. He'd be right over where they are, and then they'd be where he was.
And he had to be able to see them, or he couldn't do it.
Right.
And we got to see Bunny's first time of, he said, figuring out what to do, when actually he was inspired with something that Tiger said.
Right.
And this became like a running part of the series, where he would get ideas from Tiger. He would, old man, and quit talking and all this other stuff. But every time he would say something, you see the light bulbs go off, and then suddenly Bunny's got a brilliant idea that came from Tiger's inspiration. And then you also got to see the introduction of a major villain at the end of this movie, and you got to find out how he really came about into action. There's no spoilers. It's been too many years ago, and it's Bunny's fault. Right.
Definitely I'll point that out, because with the show for Yuri, you kind of assume that he'd always work there. I mean, when they had Lunatic on, you assume he was always been there, and just now he decided to do it. But no, with this movie, you find out he was actually new, just showed up. He already had this thing about justice already in his head, but he really hasn't acted on it. But after seeing what happened with Bunny, with him doing his own thing and not listening and stuff, and he said, "This is what you call justice." At the end of the movie, when they have the credits roll and they give you those little extra scenes and stuff in the movie, you see him put on the mask and everything. So Bunny hadn't went and done the stupid thing and on his own, and Lunatic probably wouldn't have come out.
He's like, I gotta take matters into my own hands. If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself.
Yeah.
And so he did. But it was fun, because again, you got to see that beginning interaction between Tiger and Bunny, how they were at odds with each other, and everything Tiger didn't want to do. They say, do it or you're fired. You're fired. Do it, you're fired.
He's like, he thinks he doesn't win either way.
And then you got to see Ben, who he worked with at the cab company. Well, he didn't work with him at the cab company. He was like his manager.
Right.
And Ben owned a cab company. And he was sort of like Tiger's chauffeur and his manager. And you got to see how Ben is the one who actually helped him to get the job with Sternbill.
Right. Right. And like I said, even though they cut some things out, it's not like things that were so important and they said, why'd you do that? And it's plot holes. They were, like I said, very important and they were segues. So even if you didn't watch the series, seeing these little moments and stuff in here wasn't bad at all. Once you got to know the characters, and then like you say, you got to know everyone else. They even got their own little suit-up scenes, and you saw the catchphrases and stuff.
Right.
I think that was really interesting to put in since the show never has. Like, okay, we'll get everybody's in here.
One thing that was really interesting for me that we actually discussed before now is how I saw the headstone for Bunny's dad. It said 1957, and I'm like, that can't be right, because that means Bunny would be 62 years old if it's based on now. And this is when we finally understood and learned that it takes place in an alternate, or they call it an NC universe, 1978.
Right.
And so it explains why Bunny's got the Farrah Fawcett feather do, why they're all wearing these university jackets or baseball jackets.
Yeah, that's what you call them.
Bunny looks, now after knowing this, then everything makes sense. Bunny looks like he's in 70 clothes, so does Tiger. You see the clothes that Blue Rose wears on her off time. She's got the little the dress, the attire with the moccasins and the Indian headband, and you see so much that makes sense that yes, this really is taking place in some alternate 70s timeline. But what's really confusing, if you don't know that, it's because they're so technologically advanced, of course, far beyond the 70s in our universe. So it was a little confusing, but looking at all the clothes, looking at the cars, you know, Ben's got a cab company, which doesn't exist now, and you see all these things, you go, oh my gosh, it is 70. So it takes place in NC 1978.
Right.
So it was great watching this movie and learning that part of the series. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's a time jump when it returns for another season, which is being created now. Right. If there's going to be a time jump, or if they're going to stay in the same NC 1970.
Right. If there's anything new,
Yeah, I do hope there's a time jump, and maybe they get to NC 80s and see how they depict that. That would be fun.
I would love that. And one thing I like to point out is another thing we discussed after we finished the film was that the theme of Bunny and Ouroboros, like, we get more into it in the series. They kind of had to make sure that they didn't get all in it. In the beginning, they just told you, you know, they showed you why he was looking for them and what happened with the criminal and stuff, and that's it, before they introduced Jake and stuff. So they kind of kept it small. But the one thing I noticed is that Bunny has spent most of his life looking for this organization and has come up with nothing. Right. And his organization, you know, it's always been there, but it just seems like you would think in a Batman way that he will find something and pieces will put together, and it's been nothing. However, the Tiger, the one that's not supposed to be a threat, is the one that Ouroboros keeps trying to take out. He knows zilch about. Then they keep trying to take him out in the whole series. It's like, okay, so Bunny's the one trying to find you. You leave him alone. Tiger knows zilch about you, but you frame him, try to kill him, have his friends go after him, citywide manhunt, criminal public enemy #1, and he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be the guy that no one really takes seriously. That told you a lot right there. It's like, how is he a threat and Bunny's the one looking for you?
So this movie was a great addition to us learning more about these anime superheroes. And if you have seen Tiger and Bunny, or this particular movie, Tiger and Bunny the Beginning, let us know what you think in the comments below.
Right. And be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates on future podcasts and World of Paws videos.
And when Tiger and Bunny's next season comes out as well.
Right. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Masculine Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a rocket.